The episode started like any other lively talk show segment, but something in the air felt heavier, sharper, as if the studio itself sensed what was coming. The cameras rolled, the audience clapped, and the hosts exchanged their usual smiles. But you could clearly see it on her face. She wasn't in the mood for games today. She was seated upright, hands clasped, eyes narrowing whenever the topic drifted near familiar territory. Across the table, the other host leaned back with that trademark smirk, the kind that says I know exactly what button I'm about to push. And the crowd, unaware of what was about to unfold, laughed lightly at every joke tossed around. But beneath that laughter, the tension was bubbling. The conversation shifted toward Southern culture, traditions, and values, a topic that always carried weight. The host brushed off the South with a sweeping comment, trying to be funny, but it landed wrong. The studio lights even seemed to flicker as the temperature dropped. She paused, blinked, leaned forward, and in that moment, the energy changed, the calm before the storm. The audience sensed it too. Something big was about to happen. Asterisk, as the panel dove deeper into the discussion, jokes turned sharper, pushing boundaries instead of playing within them. The host across the table raised her eyebrows, exhaled dramatically, and delivered the line that instantly shifted the atmosphere. It wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive. But it was dismissive, the kind of offhand comment people only say when they think no one will challenge them. She said something about the South being behind, old-fashioned, and too stuck in its ways. A few people in the audience chuckled awkwardly, unsure whether to laugh or cringe, but she didn't laugh. Not even close. She straightened her posture, eyes locked, clearly stunned that such a remark had been made on live television. The host continued rambling, trying to justify the joke. But the damage was already done. Viewers at home would later replay this moment again and again, pointing out the exact second her expression changed from shocked to offended to furious. She inhaled slowly, gripping the edge of the table, and when she finally spoke, her voice trembled, not from fear, but from controlled anger. The studio went silent. Even the cameras seemed to pull in closer. Sensing the impending fallout, asterisk, her voice cut through the silence with precision. Not yelling, not insulting, but firm, steady, and dripping with emotion. She told the host that dismissing an entire region wasn't comedy. It was ignorance. The audience gasped, some even cheering, others frozen in disbelief. The host tried to counter, waving a hand dismissively, insisting it was just a joke and that people needed to lighten up. But that only made things worse. She leaned in, fire in her eyes, pointing out how jokes lose their humor when they disrespect millions of people. Every sentence she spoke hit harder than the last. The host's smile faded, replaced by a defensive scowl. Back and forth they went, one defending the pride and dignity of her roots, the other clinging stubbornly to her comment. The crowd didn't know where to look. Some whispered, some stared wide, dash-eyed. The tension built until the air felt thick enough to slice through. It was no longer just a disagreement. It was a clash of values, pride, and personalities. The conversation spiraled out of control, and the cameras captured every raw second. Finally, she pushed her chair back. The studio froze. Asterisk, the moment the chair scraped against the studio floor, everyone knew it was over. The audience fell into complete silence, unsure whether to stand, clap, or hold their breath. The host across the table looked stunned, her face draining of color. She stood, smoothing down her jacket with hands that trembled from emotion, not weakness. She stared directly at the host, then at the audience, and delivered one last line, the kind that would be repeated across social media for days, edited into clips, shared in millions of posts. If respecting where I come from is too much for this show, then I won't sit here and pretend otherwise. Gasps, murmurs. A few people even applauded. She turned sharply and began walking off the set. The cameras attempted to follow, but the producers quickly cut to a wide shot, trying to contain the chaos. Still, the viewers saw everything. Her exit, the stunned expressions, the awkward silence that swallowed the room. The host called after her, trying to salvage the moment, but she didn't look back. She walked straight out of the frame, controlled, proud, and unapologetically herself. The studio sat in shock. Nothing like this had ever happened on that stage. Asterisk, the moment the show returned from commercial break, the host looked shaken, smiling stiffly, speaking carefully, tiptoeing around the obvious. Social media, however, was already erupting. Clips of the walkout were everywhere. Fans praised her for standing up for her culture. Others debated whether the host had crossed a line. Within minutes, hashtags related to the moment began trending across every platform. Backstage, staff members whispered nervously, unsure whether she would return or whether the episode would need emergency edits before re-airing. Producers scrambled to issue statements, while audience members who witnessed it firsthand pulled out their phones to give their side of the story. Meanwhile, viewers at home were glued to their screens, replaying the moment frame by frame. Reading every micro-expression and analyzing every line that led to the explosion, her fans rallied behind her, calling the walkout powerful, necessary, and long overdue. Critics of the show claimed it exposed deeper issues in how certain communities are talked about. One thing was clear. This wasn't just a TV argument, it was a cultural moment, and the shockwaves were only beginning to spread. Asterisk, if you've made it this far, you already know this wasn't an ordinary TV moment. It was bold, emotional, and unforgettable. And if you want more stories like this, moments where celebrities speak their truth, where live shows explode with raw emotion, where real personalities clash on real stages, then you're in the right place. My channel delivers the biggest drama, it's the deepest breakdowns, and the most shocking behind-the-scenes stories from Hollywood, Nashville, and every live studio in between. So if you enjoyed this breakdown, the tension, the emotion, the walkout, the fallout, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because there's always another explosive moment around the corner. And tell me in the comments, who do you think was right? Did she stand up for her values? Or did the host cross a line? Your opinion matters. Your voice adds to the story. Join the conversation, join the community, and most importantly, stay tuned. There's a lot more coming.